I love machines, and more specifically, I love robots. Big ones, small ones, space terrorist ones, and even those creepy humanoid ones that fall right into the uncanny valley. Robots are awesome, so it's no surprise that recently I decided to stop and think to myself, who is my favourite robot of all time? It took a while as I was tossing around top tier characters like Armada Starscream, the aforementioned space terrorist Gravitals, the Blue Beetle armor,
Atomics!
and a few others, but eventually I thinned the herd until there were just two left. The Iron Giant and Overwatch's Bastion. Though you already know who ended up winning from the title and thumbnail, this video was very nearly an Iron Giant video. But in the end, I think Bastion ended up taking my favour because I think that he actually did something very similar to the Iron Giant, but even better. Today I want to discuss that, so buckle up for some quick play because today we're going to be discussing the nuanced beauty of Overwatch's Bastion. It's hero time. So for anyone who doesn't know the Overwatch lore, because to be fair, even I only know some of the service level stuff myself, Overwatch takes place sometime in the 2070s, and humans live alongside sapient robotic lifeforms known as the Omnic. Omnics are just as smart as people, maybe even smarter, but due to machine racism, which to be fair is pretty likely to happen considering, how people are reacting to AI already in the 2020s, Omnics are being killed, scrapped and enslaved due to being perceived as lesser beings. And there exist those who never want peaceful coexistence to emerge between people and Omnics at all, because Omnics are too useful as free labor tools, and companies don't want to pay more workers than they have to, so they want to keep Omnics as far from human rights as possible, which has created, civil unrest, to say the least. Bastion, specifically, is a battle Omnic, designed for warfare so that human lives don't have to be lost in war. Deployed in battle, he eventually shut down while the battle continued to rage on around him, and when he woke up, the world was silent. Imagine being a robot. Imagine being built for one thing, and that is to kill other robots. You are built exclusively to kill, designed with nothing but efficient destruction in mind. So what do you do when there are no other robots left to kill? If Bastion was just a normal robot, it wouldn't really matter. He wouldn't be able to do anything unless he was told to do it, so there wouldn't really exist any sort of moral conundrum. But that's the thing. Bastion isn't a normal robot. He's an Omnic. The fact that Omnics are programmed with the capacity for some level of emotional simulation, and the fact that they were put into warfare despite that capability, really shows how little regard people have for the well-being of these machines, prioritizing human life over the lives that they themselves granted to the Omnics. I find Bastion fascinating because his story is the story of a machine that knows nothing but violence waking up in a world where, at least as far as he knows, violence has simply ceased to exist. In this moment, there is nothing left in his code that can dictate what actions he should take from here on, and as such, all that is left is for him to decide for himself what to do next. If a machine is built for nothing but destruction, you'd expect it to seek something else to destroy when the destruction is complete. But no. Bastion wakes up in a time where those who created him have probably forgotten he even exists, meaning there is nobody left to tell him how to think or how to act. When given completely free will to choose what he wants to do, the machine designed for nothing more than war defies all expectations and because of those programmed emotions chooses to seek peace. I think this aspect of Bastion's character is utterly beautiful, and it speaks volumes to just how emotionally capable the Omnics actually are. In Overwatch, there are Omnics that are literally designed to look like robotic people, but perhaps the Omnic who is the most human of all is the one who doesn't look much like a human whatsoever, Bastion. Bastion can't speak, possesses several traits that call to mind various terrifying monsters, and is built exclusively to kill. And yet he chooses to walk the same path as peace as the Omnics who are literally designed to seek and preserve peace. Because at the end of the day, the thing that an Omnic is manufactured for does not determine who they are or how they have to behave. Bastion is the most human Omnic there is out there, and yet he is the furthest thing physically from what you would expect a peace-loving robot to look like. Bastion's character reminds me of the Iron Giant, who I mentioned earlier in this video. For the movie, director Brad Bird originally pitched the idea for the film as, what if a gun had a soul and didn't want to be a gun? And I think that very same question was raised when putting together Bastion's character. Even more so than the Iron Giant, Bastion is a literal gun, and his capability to destroy whatever stands in his way is clearly present, and yet he chooses to create, helping a bird build a nest on his body as the two of them explore the world together. Bastion is a gun who has ceased to be a gun. And if the robot designed to be a gun isn't a gun anymore, then what is he? Bastion serves as a fascinating example of the coexistence that can and should exist between humans and Omnics in the Overwatch universe. If any Omnic can desire and seek peace, especially one who only knows death and destruction, there's no real need to fear them, is there? Sure, not all Omnics are good people, as we've seen, but neither are all humans either. But if a robot can choose to stop being a gun and instead be a person, then perhaps other Omnics, those who have chosen to take radical action, can be reasoned with as a result. Another part of Bastion's character that I find truly beautiful is the fact that he has trauma. It seems unusual for a robot to have trauma at first glance, but the more you think about it, the more it really makes sense. In the modern day, one way we can train an AI is to introduce them to a process of trial and error. At first, though they're clumsy and inefficient, as they continue to try over and over again, they become more refined and efficient, learning what ways they can carry out their offered task more and more effectively. Some examples of this that I think are worth checking out are B2 Studios' video on teaching an AI to swing like Spider-Man, and AI Warehouse's video on teaching an AI to walk. If you're interested in learning how AI can be taught, I think those two videos will be of particular interest to you, especially for understanding what I'm going to be saying next with this video. In the same way that an AI can learn how to walk or learn how to swing around like Spider-Man through trial and error, learning what ways hinder its efficiency and what ways allow it to move more efficiently, then it makes sense that an AI-powered lifeform could gain a quote-unquote trauma from such an interaction. If Bastion is built for efficient warfare, and warfare was the very thing that shut him down in the first place, then it makes sense that his AI would start to consider warfare as a hindrance to his efficiency, and thus he would begin to avoid it. Of course, this creates a paradox. If a machine built for war is avoiding war in order to not be shut down, something that would be counterproductive to their efficiency in a war, then what do? Well, in the case of Bastion, we see that the result is free will. By having Bastion's sole purpose for functioning to be blocked out by his own AI, he is granted the power to choose for himself what to do, and thus when he's brought back into a situation of war, his AI responds in the only way it can. Kill it in order to prevent it from killing you. Bastion's seemingly traumatic outbursts of aggression aren't the result of some glitch due to long-term inactivity, but rather the result of an AI's own self-conflict. In his own experience, in order to be more efficient at killing, Bastion has to avoid killing. This of course doesn't make any sense, and an AI is built with logic as a key part of its way of thinking, so the result is a machine that can think and choose for itself without needing to carry out the task provided to it. Avoiding warfare can be done in any number of ways, meaning that by being killed in war, for a lack of a better term, Bastion was reborn with the capability to seek peace instead. There is something so fascinating to me about Bastion's character. Is he truly sapient, or is he just a robot suffering from a logical loophole that's granted it a false free will? In the end, does it even really matter? Bastion is a gun that refuses to be a gun, and only reacts with violence in times of trauma. Humans are the same way, with trauma influencing their behavior in unexpected ways as well. Again, Bastion exists as an Omnic that is more human than any other, yet his purpose for existence is anything but humane. Bastion has killed hundreds of his own kind, all while programmed to have emotions that would allow him to feel some sort of guilt about his actions. Then, when he reawakens from being shut down, he's presented with a world where the violence is gone, everything is silent, and where once there was death, there now exists life. This moment of Bastion's origins is so beautiful to me, because it represents new beginnings in both a physical and metaphorical sense. Physically, because the battlefield has fallen silent, plant life has begun to grow from the mineral-rich bodies of the fallen battle Omnics. Metaphorically, Bastion has been given a new life, quote-unquote, a new purpose, by being granted the ability to choose for himself what he does next. Bastion is beautiful, because he is a gun that has ceased to be a gun, and has instead become human. But with all that said, that's about all I have to say with this video. Sorry if my points were a little random or unclear at any point. It's hard for me to properly pace these videos sometimes, and it feels like I end up going around in circles around a singular point as a result. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to leave your thoughts and feedback in the comments below, and with that, let's move into our usual post-video rituals. First of all, big thank you to our channel members. Riverjoy, TC, Hearn_, Minelmuir, Victor Matusik, and Charstream Ace Attorney. Now let's go over last video's poll. Last time, I asked you guys if you preferred Jogo, Hanami, or Dagon out of the 3 disaster curses from Jujutsu Kaisen. With 603 total votes, Jogo, unsurprisingly, won with 59%, Hanami got second place with 23%, and Dagon came in last with only 18%. Personally, my favourite was Hanami. I think Hanami, as the curse spirit representing Mother Nature, is a really fascinating character, and though she's probably the weakest of the 3 disaster curses, I think her personality, her fights, and her design overall are all really stellar parts of Jujutsu Kaisen as a whole. So with that said, let's now give a shout out to everybody who correctly guessed that my favourite was Hanami. So, big shout out to Chaotic by Choice, and Kia5884. Well done for guessing right, guys. And now let's finish things off by moving into this video's poll. So, Overwatch themed poll of course. Out of the two Hamada brothers, Genji and Hanzo, which one do you prefer? Leave a comment below or on the poll guessing which one I like the most for a chance to get a shout out next time. And with that, I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Adios, fellow heroes.